is probably the thing that sustains these animals in the long run. I wish it weren't so, but I think appealing to people's self-interest is usually better than appealing to their better nature.
Bruce Tuttery.
No,
Sorry, Gay Davidson.
No, I'm getting in ahead of him. Gay Davidson, former president and so far only female president of the Press Club. I was absolutely enchanted with your address, but as good New Zealander, may I suggest that you say Kakapo rather than Kakapo?
I stand corrected.
And you might recall that the moa is another extinct from there. And you might recall also that the kea has fought back very well indeed against the sheep and the graziers. Now, going on from that, I really want to actually ask you a question out of the galaxy. My favourite numbers are 94. That's my age when I'm feeling terribly awful in the morning. 42 is my really favourite number, and that's the age I'll admit to, later in the day, having a bluted and dressed and so forth. Now, and I might add, combinations of both those numbers in terms of picking horses. How did you hit on 42 as the answer?
Well, the funny thing about this is that when I was writing that particular scene, it was just one afternoon, and I got to the point. I thought, what is the answer going to be? Well, I think it'd be quite. I want the answer to not obviously be an answer, but be something that in itself is inexplicable. And actually, what would be quite funny is just if it's a number. So I thought, well, what number is it going to be? And thought of a few numbers. Thought, what's the funniest of the two-figure numbers? And eventually kind of settled for 42 because it was just the most ordinary number I could think of. Now, it seems odd to talk about an ordinary number, but there's a kind of comedy writer's instinct, if you had to come up with a number in an exposed place in a script, so to speak, that you would make it a funny number, like sort of 17 3/8. Now, a strange or very particular number. I thought, well, no, I think if you do that, then it's putting a very lame joke in the middle of what I hope is a strong joke, and the strong joke is that it's a number. So I thought, therefore, it's got to be a very, very ordinary number. And so I thought, well, what do you mean by ordinary number? Well, I thought, well, I think, therefore, it should be an even number. Because even though there are just as many odd numbers as there are even numbers, there's something about odd numbers, isn't there? So I thought, and it should be divisible by ordinary numbers as well, like sort of 6 and 7. And so I thought, well, 42 seems a very ordinary number, sort of number you could just happily take home and introduce to your parents without embarrassment. But I say I went into all this. I didn't really sort of go into all that thing, but I just thought, well, what is it going to be? And okay, it'll be 42. Took about 10 seconds. But at the same time that I wrote that, I thought, I have a feeling this is going to come back and haunt me in some way. And here I am, 21 years later, still being asked, why did I think of 42? And I have to say, it was a joke. It was a joke. I mean, people ask me, is it significant that this Tibetan sect think that 42 is a number that blah, 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 and that signifies life, and then it turns out that it's an approximation of the Hubble constant, and all these kinds of things. I said, no, it was just a joke. The whole point is, please.
Bruce Juddery.
Hand over the microphone to Bruce Juddery. Might I suggest that if you're ever thinking of uneven numbers, you might think of a woman of a certain age, meaning somewhere between 35 and 39.
I will remember that. Thank you very much.
Bruce Juddery.
I expect I'll be turning on the radio at 5:05 tomorrow to hear the second episode of the latest rerun of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy on Radio National. There you are.
Yes, you're on the skids when your programme goes on at 5:30 in the morning.
I have flatulence at that hour of the morning, so I have to turn the radio on. I'm also a New Zealander by origin, and I feel extremely guilty for all the roast kakapo dinners I've eaten in the last kakapo, yeah, that I've eaten in the last 50 or 60 years, and I do apologise. I was particularly interested in your remarks, your references, although you didn't use the term, to the two cultures debate, which would have been raging, whatever, between C.P. Stowe and Professor Leavis about the time you were going through school, as I was. And you opted for the arts side, and it shows up in your writing. What does one do? What has been done? What can one do to, in fact, conflate them into a proper culture? And that's a serious question.
Well, I think it's an extremely important question. I'm very glad you asked that. It is very weird to me at the moment that at a time, I said, we're going through a period of enormous technological change. Now, underlying that is a period of enormous scientific advancement, because we are at a stage where we're very, very close to some really, really very profound and significant understandings of the deepest of the life sciences and the most extraordinary of the sort of physical sciences. I mean, our understanding of where the universe came from and where life came from and what it means to be alive and how the mind works, all of these really fundamental things are things we are very, very close to really pretty good understandings of. It's a extraordinarily exciting time to be alive, because these are the things we've kind of always wanted to know. And it seems inexplicable to me that we hear on every side that people are less interested in doing science, science is declining in universities, and you think, what? This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. I mean,